Well, friends, thank you very much for this. For the first time, Vision 2020 online this program is supposed to be meeting today in Siliguri, enjoying the hospitality of Greater Lands Hospital, but some other day that will happen definitely. As to begin the session with two giants, Dr. Bhushan and Dr. Rao, let me just say that this session will dedicate to our dear friend, the late Professor Prasad Sekharam. Is a father figure in ophthalmology and public health ophthalmology who moved from clinician to public health ophthalmology and showed that how public health ophthalmology can actually do. Dr. Bhushan, welcome to this wonderful session. Dr. Bhushan is the current CEO of Ayushman Bharat, or called the Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana, or in short PMJ. Dr. Bhushan is a former administrative officer, and after working several years in that position, also worked with different economic fora like World Bank and Asian Development Bank. Under his able leadership, as I saw counted myself, by April 15, 2020, PMJ empaneled over 20,000 hospitals, both government and non-government, has issued e-health card to 124.5 million people, and it directly benefited 9.66 million people through hospital admissions. PMJ has got a very ambitious, equitable program of providing health care, including eye care, to all over the country at no cost and minimal cost. While I am pleased to introduce Dr. Bhushan, I also invite Dr. Rao, the founder chairman of Prasad Eye Institute, based in Hyderabad, now operating in 4 states of India. Dr. Rao was also a clinician like Prasad and gave up his clinical work to devote public health ophthalmology. The former president of International Association for the Prevention of Blindness. Under his leadership in last 32 years in LV Prasad has touched lives of over 30 million people. That includes 4.5 million children, and have touched lives in 11,500 villages, rehabilitated 186,000 people. And last 32 years also, LV Prasad has done rehabilitated 186,000 people and corneal transplantation of 36,000 plus people. But what is most remarkable to me, I also work in LV Prasad, is the equity. LV Prasad has established gender equity of treating 46% of females, and a social equity of treating 57% of people completely free. It is not charitable, it is completely free. I welcome both Dr. Bhushan and Dr. Rao. Dr. Bhushan will speak first and Dr. Rao will moderate. Dr. Bhushan, we received many questions, so time permitting, Dr. Rao might pick up 1 or 2 of them or ask on his mind, and it will be a debate. I suspect that because of 2 giants sitting now on screen, and this is almost time, we can buy some time into lunch, it might go a little beyond 1 o'clock, which is all right for you. Then let us begin now, Dr. Bhushan first. Thank you.
Thank you. I hope hear me, and I'll try to keep my presentation short so that we have some time for discussion. I'll share my screen. I hope it's working now and you can see my presentation.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I'll give you some I'll give you some overview of the scheme, what we've done recently for Vision 2020, and what is the future plan. So moving ahead, as you know, that Ayushman Bharat is a broad concept, and some of you may not know that Ayushman Bharat has 2 legs. One is comprehensive primary health care through making 150,000 health and wellness centers, and they have a major role to play for health, including for Vision 2020, because screening stage at which they can identify initial problems. And second leg, which is the more well-known among the health community, is secondary and tertiary inpatient care through Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana. And this is the leg that I look after. I'll be talking about this now. Well, most of you may be familiar with the Ayushman Bharat Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana, but just to update, we plan to cover more than 50 crore people, to be specific, 10.74 crore families, and this is for up to 5 lakh per family per year, and for secondary and tertiary care. Benefits are portable, one feature that we are very proud of, because it provides people ability to choose services anywhere in the country, irrespective of their state of origin. And there is no cap on family size, gender, and all existing conditions are covered. Well, the scheme was announced in 2018, and we were given about 6 months to launch it. And the Honorable Prime Minister launched it on 23rd of September. So in about 4 months' time, we are going to be completing 2 years. And so far, we have provided more than 1 crore treatment and 10 million treatments. And we have issued more than 13 crore cards. More than 22,000 hospitals are on board right now. Well, just to explain to you how the system works, we have 3 major pillars of the scheme: beneficiaries, 50 crore beneficiaries; hospitals, 22,000 hospitals; and 32 states and UTs which have joined, who provide the payment to hospitals. And all 3 are linked through a IT platform, and IT platform is end-to-end, paperless. It helps in identifying beneficiaries, and it helps in admissions of the beneficiaries to the hospital, and tracks their treatment through the discharge. And after discharge, it helps the hospitals to raise claims, and payment is made also in a paperless manner. And this platform is also there to seek feedback from beneficiaries about what they feel about the treatment. And of course, surrounding all this is a plethora of guidelines and policies and other efforts which make it happen. Now, I mentioned that out of 36 states and UTs, 32 states and UTs have joined. 4 states, which are West Bengal, Telangana, Delhi, and Odisha, are yet to join. Delhi has decided to join, and we are hoping that it will be, we'll be working with them soon. And we also hope that other 3 states will also join very soon. Now, coming to what we're doing for Vision 2020. Of course, I don't need to tell this August gathering that India is one of the largest population with blind people. We have slightly more than 1/5 of world's population, but we have 1/5 of world's blind people. And cataract is responsible for more than 50% of bilaterally blind people in the country, and prevalence of cataract-related blindness among the age group more than 50 is more than 5%. So we have a huge backlog and huge challenge here in terms of achieving the goals of Vision 2020. And right now, some studies have shown that about 13 crore Indians do not have access to glasses and eye exam, despite all our various schemes which are in place, including 7.5 million children suffer from myopia. That has a huge impact on social and economic burden. It leads to 10% of them dropping out of school, 18% of them repeating grades, and of course the impact on productivity is very high. And some studies have estimated the economic burden of blindness, which is more than $12 billion. And of course, blind people have social issues as well, not only economic issues. So one sees this not as an only health problem, but also economic and social challenges. Now, coming to Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana, we have actually been very supportive of Vision 2020. And recently, we have changed our health benefit packages, and we've added 13 additional procedures, and total number of procedures that are covered are 53, and rates of 16 procedures we have actually increased. And we are trying to have a focus on blindness and eye-related diseases. And the addition of these packages and enhancement of these rates denotes or convey that we are committed toward the goals of Vision 2020. Now, also in terms of we are making efforts, not only we have included more packages, but we are making efforts to include more hospitals. And we have a lot of flexibility to states for empanelment. We've exempted the requirement that a hospital should have minimum 10 beds for ophthalmology. We have also allowed standalone single specialty empanelment. Usually we prefer multi-specialty empanelment, but for this we are allowing standalone single specialty empanelment. And finally, we have recently introduced a fast-track temporary empanelment process that has been put in place. And so we have more than 6,000 hospitals which are providing ophthalmology services. These are 6,000 are out of 22,000 that we have right now. And close to about 40% of these are private hospitals. And this slide gives you details of where these hospitals are across the country. Now, as you can see from this graph, that two things. One, that our service for ophthalmology related service packages was actually increasing in a big way in recent months. It was only after the lockdown in March that there may have been a huge drop in the services, and we are now picking up the pace a little bit. But before lockdown, there was quite a nice increase. If you compare, say, January 2019 to January 2020, you would see that there was an increase over 60% in terms of these packages. Also, I'm very happy to see that there is a nice gender balance. 52% of these services were given to women, and as would be expected, large, about close to 90% services was given to people who are more than 50. And again, one major thing that you would have seen from the previous graph as well, that large proportion of these treatments are being provided by the private hospitals, 84% to be exact. And these are the places where a lot of treatments are being given. A couple of slides on PMJ per se. I gave you some overview of what we are doing in to support Vision 2020. But this is a number of people that we are covering across 32 states. And as you can see, and the orange bar shows beneficiaries covered by PMJ. Green bar are those beneficiaries or those families which have been added on top of PMJ. And PMJ has provided a framework on which many states have actually expanded, and which is one key feature of our scheme. And you can see that many states using our framework have almost gone to 100% universal coverage. And we hope this trend will continue to grow. Now, I mentioned earlier that we have more than 22,000 hospitals impaneled, and which is and it's growing, and it's more than 10,000 hospitals are private sector hospitals, and more than 2,000 hospitals have been actually impaneled recently during the lockdown, which is a good news for us because we need more hospitals right now, as many hospitals have scaled back their operations, but also many hospitals have converted into COVID only hospitals, and we need more services. And this is my last slide, that people think that we are a program which is providing financial protection to the poor. And obviously, that's our major goal, that we want to ensure that no poor person should fall into poverty or deeper into poverty, or should have to pay anything out of their pocket, and they should not be denied service because they can't afford it. That's of course major goal, but we are going beyond that. We are empowering beneficiaries. We are empowering beneficiaries in the sense that they can demand services because uh, they're not receiving charity from any hospital. They're getting paid. They can go to public, private. They can choose any of those hospitals. We are also increasing the availability of services because we know that we know that with the availability of service, with the payments of services, new services are coming up, especially in tier 2, tier 3 cities, because there is a demand. We are also working on ensuring quality of services through prescription of treatment, standard treatment protocols, and we can also enforce them through our IT system. We are also hoping to not only provide quality services, but also affordable services through the concept of collective bargaining. And we are putting in place sort of equations and monitoring in place. And in addition, also strengthen and deepen the work on continuum of care, linking our services better with primary care, and creating an ecosystem for health insurance, and creating building blocks for national digital health blueprint. With that, I want to thank you for your time and attention. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Indu Bhushan. That was a very comprehensive overview of what Ayushman Bharat is doing and intending to do more as we move into the future. I think we would like to first, on behalf of every member of the Vision 2020, congratulate you on your appointment as the first CEO of this biggest universal health coverage program in the world. And I think the principles that you have alluded to under the scheme are what everybody aspires for, every country aspires for. Focusing on quality, equity, comprehensive care, and also leveraging technology to the best possible way. And I think we in ophthalmology can benefit significantly from each of these components and each of these issues. I believe a number of organizations within India have developed models that encompass each of these principles that you have alluded to. So from that perspective, we are happy that we are in alignment with many of the underlying principles as well as aspirations of Ayushman Bharat. So a few of our colleagues have questions for you related to reimbursement, revision of charges because of the COVID-related additional expenses, the utilization of the government system, particularly the wellness centers and all, and whether we are going to integrate even at that level eye care services. You have mentioned about the need to reach out to lots of people with a pair of glasses, and the only way to do it is to strengthen the eye care services at the primary level. And the many wellness centers that you're going to develop are the right kind of venue to add the vision component and then provide those services, those refraction services to the people living in the remotest areas and in the vulnerable communities. So first question is, the number of cataract surgeries that are being reimbursed now falls short of, significantly short of the number of cataract surgeries required to meet the demand to eliminate cataract blindness in our country. So is there any plan to scale up the support for the number of cataract surgical procedures in our country?
Okay. Well, thank you very much. Let me take questions one by one. Starting with the question on the prices, then a question on cataract issue, and then health and wellness centers. Starting with the price, the pricing always has been one major issue for us. We realize that if prices are too low, then obviously if they're not viable for private sector, we are not going to be getting services. But if they're too high, then we might get distortions in terms of increased use of those services, but also more importantly, the scheme not being viable. And we've seen that in last 1.5 years experience, then whenever the price is high, there are huge distortions leading to a lot of wastage of resources and provision of services which are not needed. At the same time, we've also seen that when prices are low, we've not got the right level of participation from the private sector. And so finding that sweet spot where the prices are high enough to provide incentive for the private sector, but not too high to introduce distortion, has been a problem. And as I mentioned, that giving wherever we had data, we had incorporated them, and some of the package rates were increased. Now, one major problem that we have, and I have to be very frank here, is that we have to also ensure that there is no fraud and abuse. And cataract particularly was in news during the time of RSPY and some other schemes where a lot of massive support for cataract was provided, and some studies had found that some of those procedures or treatments were actually not given. So we have to put in place some checks and balances so that we can ensure that we are indeed providing services. And I will be seeking help, support, and cooperation from industry associations and civil society about how we can ensure that this menace of fraud and abuse not take place. I know that 95% of our organizations and doctors are not doing it, but few very actually reflects badly on our scheme, but also we lose a lot of political support. Second problem that we have is better coordination with the National Blindness Prevention Program and RBSK, where a lot of support for eye-related disease, the conditions are given. And here we want to have a system where it should be almost same. Right now, if you look at a National Blindness Prevention Program and Ayushman Bharat, the rates are different, the way it is approached are different, our target groups are different. I think at some point in time, we have to harmonize our approaches so that we can more effectively provide these services. And as you can see, our target group may be only about 40 to 50% of the country, but for other programs, it's all 100%. So also bringing in convergence in this case may be one major issue. You very rightly raised the issue of health and wellness centers. And out of 150,000 health and wellness centers, now government has put in place 40,000 health and wellness centers. And I'm assuming that as the numbers increase, their footprint, their work will be more noticed and appreciated. And one major thing that they would do, apart from the existing work that they're doing, is screening for NCDs, screening for all those health conditions like diabetes, which has a major impact on blindness, but also screening children and others for conditions of the eyes and referring them if they need further treatment. So this will be helpful. And I think with the strong health and wellness center and primary care support, we'll be hopefully able to provide better and comprehensive services for reaching the goals of Vision 2020. Please let me know if there are other issues that I should pick up, because the connection was good from my end, and I hope I can hear you. But if there are some other issues that I can dwell on, I'll be very happy to do that.
Yeah, one question is whether there would be a consideration for upward revision of reimbursement because of the additional cost due to the measures that everybody has to take because of COVID.
Yeah, actually, that's a very important issue, not only for ophthalmology, but it's for all entire health sector. We have received representations about the increase in cost because of use of greater intensive inputs of IPC, infection prevention and control. And we'll have to take a call on this, because obviously this has implications for our budget as well. So we'll be looking at it very carefully, and I can assure you that we are very sympathetic to this issue.
A little outside of just eye care, with the lessons that we have learned from this pandemic, is the government considering significant increase in healthcare budget, decrease the budget for defense and missiles, and spend more money on attacking the microbes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Is there any thinking along those lines? Because for a long time we've been talking
I didn't catch
2.5%, and we remained at 1.5%. Can we at least jump right away to 2.5% to 3% allocation for healthcare?
Yeah, you are absolutely right. The health policy of 2017 has proposed that we should be increasing the health budget to 2.5% of GDP, and our both state budget been hovering around 1.2 to 1.4% of GDP. So that calls for an increase of almost doubling the budget, even if we don't take into account the increase in GDP every year. But frankly, the COVID crisis, this pandemic, has highlighted the need for having a better public health system, the need for greater investment in the health system, need for greater preparedness for communicable and actually, frankly, non-communicable diseases. So I am very certain that this will encourage, or this will help towards 2.5% GDP. And this is actually what had happened in other countries as well, because when SARS epidemic hit, I used to be working with Asian Development Bank and in the East Asia Asian countries. And because of SARS epidemic, most of these countries actually significantly increased their health budget because they realized that there is a need for greater investment.
Thank you. That's 1 o'clock, and I now hand over to Dr. Das. Back to Dr. Das.
Thank you, Dr. Roy. Thank you, Dr. Bhushan. This was very insightful. And recent past, last year, World Sight Day time, the WHO released a new booklet called World Report on Vision that talked about the two important things. One, a pyramidal eye care, which Ali Prasad is doing for last 30 or so years. Then integrated people-centric eye care, which Government of India is now proposed, and already told 40,000 health wellness centers are there. So that is the key to driving the equitable and quality health care to everybody, including the eye care. The advantage of eye care compared to other healthcare is that return of investment is highest in eye care compared to other healthcare, and amount of money you spend, amount of return you get investment. So I'm sure that Vision 2020, all the 184 organizations and counting will happy to join the Ayushman Bharat movement of this inclusive health and eye health program. Thank you so much, Dr. Bhushan and Dr. Rao. And we appreciate, and there are some more questions I know in case we have and we have time, then not now, but I will send this question through Vision 2020 organization to both of you, and both of you could answer those questions. It does note, I thank again on behalf of everybody for this wonderful participation. We had, as my list says, 166 organizations participated, and I'm sure more number of people. But this organization has a link to this Zoom link. Thank you so much.
And thank you very much, Dr. Das. It was a pleasure talking to you all. Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Okay, Sridevi, it's back to you to conclude the session. Sridevi, can you hear me? Or Phanindra, can you hear me? Or Mr. Mahanti, if you are there?
Yes, sir, I can hear you.
Okay, then why don't you conclude it, because the new president of Vision 2020 and to take over from today. So it is your take it forward.
Mahanti ji, sir.
Mr. Mahanti, RN?
Yes, sir. Yes, Phanindra.
Yeah, please, you can conclude it on behalf of all of us this session.
So thank you so much, everyone. I think we really had a good number of participants today in our first online AGM. So and thank you so much to Phanindra and Sridevi for organizing this and the technical committee figuring out
we are ending the session. Okay, next 2-3 minutes you can close the session. Huh? No, 5 minutes, 2-3 minutes now. We are done.
Hello.
Yeah, I can hear everybody.